Bonjour, je suis en France avec mon ami Conrad. No, I'm just kidding. For anyone who's listening to this and isn't seeing a video of this, I'm sitting in front of the Chris Briney poster that I hung up for the Samurai Turn Pretty party I have for the finale. But hello and welcome back to High Functioning, Slightly Faded. My name is Julie, which you guys probably already know, but you guys already know, especially with that intro, that I'm going to be talking about the finale of Samurai Turn Pretty today. So I'm just going to get it over with right off the bat. There's only a couple things I want to talk about today, just because I've been working a lot, but I still wanted to just like get something in because I feel like a lot of things have happened, especially in Cousins Beach and Paris, I guess. Obviously, I have many thoughts to share with you guys about this episode. For those of you guys who have been following along and are really invested in this like I am. And also, can we take a moment for the hair? I just got my hair cut as I was telling you guys I was going to get my hair done the other day, which I did. And it was totally done for my party, so I was really happy about that. But the party turned out to be a success. Everyone had a lot of fun. We definitely got a little tipsy because on the pomegranate margaritas and the blueberry lemonade, and everyone was definitely munching on all the snacks, but it was so good. But every time Conrad was on screen, you guys know I was like barking, and everyone was like, Julie, stop! When Belly showed up in the black dress, oh, she looked so good. I have some thoughts about the bob, which I was going to save them for later, but I guess I'm just going to start with that because I think it just has to be said. Like, I get what Belly is doing with the haircut, but like, we don't always need to do a chop. And also, like, a bob would have been one thing, but I didn't think it was that cute of a bob. I know for bob, obviously it was a wig probably, but like, cause I don't think Lola ever had her hair that short this year. I think for people to get bob, like, they cut the underneath and the back so it like doesn't look blockish like Dora. And unfortunately, like, there were some scenes where she was serving, and there was other scenes where it was just like, oh my god, did somebody get that girl like a flat iron? I don't know, or like some scissors to like thin that out. It just like looked very square, I guess you would say. But other scenes she was great. But the thing is that like she was coming for Laurel's brand, and Laurel eats the fuck out of Belly with her bob. And so it was just like, Belly, there was no contest. Like, that's your, it's like, I get it, but like, that's your mom's look. Like, there's been times when my mom and I've had a similar haircut, but like, it's not like that is my mom's signature look at this moment, and I'm trying to copy it. I'm in France, so nobody else knows. I had to move to France so I could do the bob. Because my mom was serving too hard back in the US. That's why I couldn't visit her, and she couldn't visit me. I was like, no, you're gonna outserve me. I really got this crazy bob. But the party was awesome. We all were kind of laughing about it, but when Belly had on that dress, she looked so good. I loved it. I literally was like Googling where to get the dress from. I think it's sold out, but it also was like $400 or $500, and I was like, oh. Because no one's really listening to this. You guys know I'm not making money on this. But it's like, damn, that dress looked really good. I would love to get that. And Lola's just gorgeous, obviously, but like, I literally was saying to my friends, I'm like, if that was me, I bet she has no panties on. I wouldn't be wearing underwear. And Conrad surprised me in Paris. They were like, Julie. But then, obviously, when they do hook up, which everyone was like, a collective like cheers. Everyone was like, oh, Julie, I guess you're wrong, because Belly obviously had like the not full brief underwear, but like not quite cheeky, like something a little bit in between, you know, slightly cheeky, I guess. But yeah, I got this Chris Briney poster at the party, and I was showing everyone, and when they got here, everyone's like, and I originally had this like blue tinsel up that we all took pictures in front of, and Allie comes in and she goes, I was like, Allie, oh my god, look at this, like so excited, and she's like, oh my god, ew, what are you, Team Jeremiah? And I was like, get the fuck out of my apartment. Like, I said, don't come to this party if you don't watch the show. And she has seen the show, but like, she watched the first 2 seasons a while ago, and then she was like, I can put together from what I've seen on the internet about this season, because she's been really busy with work. But I'm like, you bitch. And I'm like, they don't even really look alike. Like, they look enough alike, like, in a white person sense that they can, like, somewhat pass as brothers, but, like, they don't look enough alike that I would be confusing them. Not at all. I literally was like, I appreciate your Team Conrad spirit, but bitch, this is literally Conrad. I need you to lock in for me right now. We're going into the finale. This is game day. This is like our Super Bowl. This is me and My younger sister's Super Bowl. So, because I've tortured some of you with talking about this one probably a million times this whole season and maybe even before that, I'm going to try to keep this brief. But these are my thoughts about the finale. And also so I don't get emotional, because you guys know I was crying when we were watching it. And my sister was like, "Are you crying right now?" And I was like, so Taylor and Steven forever. I'm so happy the way they ended the season. And it was just like funny when they got in that argument. My boyfriend and I rewatched the episode together because he hadn't seen it yet. He was like, "That's literally you and me." I was like, "Oh, great." I love them though. But, and then those two and Denise, because Steven and Denise's like video game thing or whatever is like starting to take off, which is awesome. They're gonna move to San Fran, which is great. That's really exciting. And I'm happy Jared's finding some success as a chef. And like Jared and Denise, I love them together. It's cute. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you guys know how I felt about Denise in the beginning, where I felt like she was being a little too hard on Jared for being a Nepo baby. And I felt like she was just being like, it was literally like what I do my workplace health streams, which are like our work educations. That's like, the lateral violence or horizontal violence or whatever, where it's like, you're just like being passive aggressive and fucking rude to your coworker, but it's literally like rude and it's like not a safe place to work in. I'm like, that's her. Like, that's how she's being. But then obviously, like, she must just be like a little awkward. Maybe her mom, I don't know, took Tylenol when she was pregnant with her. More on that later. But I did end up obviously growing to love Denise, especially once we determined she and Steven were not going to be together. And I want Jared to be happy. I know everyone was hating Jer, and it's like, I get it was easy to hate Jer when he was with Belly and not Conrad. I'm Team Conrad till I die. But it's like, I don't know. I just feel like people really were being really hard on Jer, and it's like, there was this one TikTok I saw, and I was showing my sister, and we were laughing, because he was like, I get it. I get what it's like to be, like, from Massachusetts, to love drinking beer, smoking weed, it's legal here, and like all this other stuff. And I was like, that's so true. And he was like, yeah, and like, sorry I'm a pretty boy, sorry I'm not the smartest, and I forget to check my email sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, that's real. And I'm just like, I get why you guys are being like that. And like, I definitely get it in like the cheating, like that whole thing, like we were on a break, that whole situation for this season aspect too. But like, I don't know. I'll be damned if Jared gets hated on more after this. Obviously, I know there's the rumors about Gavin being MAGA or whatever, which like, I don't love that. I really don't love it. But it's like, I just like, I gotta look into that more. And like, I just really love this show. And it's like the one like really good thing in my life right now. Like, honestly, every time we look at the news, it's like, holy shit. Like, I almost forgot that like we were being taken over by a fascist government, because this whole situation with the party and the finale and like Conrad fingering Belly on the stairs, which more on that later. But we finally got Conrad and Belly together. Woo! And it was on Belly's birthday. That was cute. I liked that touch. And it was just like, and I loved how her friends were riding for Conrad, because it was just like, it felt like us Team Conrad ladies were in the room. And like, and gents. And like, I just feel like that was a nice touch, and I literally felt like watching it. They did that so, because it's like, this is the shit the fans would be saying. So it's like, let's like almost have them be like that. So I don't know if it's like it in the book, but I kind of felt like just like the dialogue and stuff. It felt almost like a little bit of a fan service, but like not in a cheesy way, you know. I cannot believe how fucking sexual this episode was. I mean, I should expect it after the bathtub scene and the peach scene, but I didn't know. And remember, in a couple episodes of this podcast ago, I was saying that I met when I was here. I was waiting for Joe to go on the dock with to go on the boat. I literally was like talking to these like 11-year-old girls, and they were like, "We love that show," and I'm like now thinking about this. I'm like, but for me, I loved it, especially because the people are like my age or older, and it's like, damn, I am not complaining. But hashtag bringing back fingering with Conrad Fisher. He's raising awareness for a serious cause that I am the voice of, or am one of the many voices of. We need to rise above. I mean, like, I'm a feminist, and like, do you guys think I wouldn't be supporting this cause? Everyone should be, okay? Everyone should be. But I love yearning, and I love, you know, and like, thank God Belly and Conrad finally got together, and I cannot wait for the movie. Mwah. That was me blowing a kiss to Conrad. Conrad, do you have anything to say? Or Chris, do you have anything to say? He's gonna be like, I'm really excited for the movie too. But I can't wait for the movie. I don't know if it's just me, but I literally think Chris Briney like must be in heat or ovulating or whatever right now, because between the fire and chemistry between him and Lola that radiated through the screen, and this entire season, especially of The Summer I Turned Pretty, but the whole show, obviously, but especially the finale. That was crazy. And, like, in the audiobook, he read out on the Quinn app or whatever, I was like, shit, like, he's really getting, like, he's getting his mojo on. Like, Chris Briney is getting his mojo back. And he's sending some strong pheromones out into the universe, and he's ready to be that A-list actor that we all know that he's destined to be. But not to change the subject from such a fun, light subject into something a little bit more heavy, and not to get all political on you guys, but, you know, I'm about to get all political on you, and I have to address a few things that happened recently, because this has been fucking crazy. Do you guys know I talked about Stephen Colbert, so obviously he was going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Like, if you guys listened to that episode, you should have immediately thought, oh, I bet Julie's already fucking on this. I didn't have time to film this before today, and obviously today I heard that, or maybe it was yesterday I heard about it, but I did also hear about it today, that Jimmy Kimmel was getting his show back. But the fact that he even was indefinitely suspended by ABC, literally, like, the weakest joke ever, like, to lose your job over, like, it wasn't a bad thing to say, but it just was like, that's what he got fired over? That was nothing. That was literally nothing. Like, people say worse, like, all the time. That one Fox newscaster said worse when he literally was like, I think homeless people should die, or whatever he said a couple weeks ago, and it was like, even if you think that, that's an inside thought. Because even if a bunch of people agree with that, you shouldn't say that out loud. Like, I'm not saying I agree with that, I definitely do not, but I'm just like, I feel like even if you did think that that was okay, I think you should know enough to not say that on TV, essentially. So, like, that makes me even more concerned that he thought that was fine, that it was that normalized to think that that was okay. Because if I was a homeless person, I was watching that, I would be like, what the fuck? And I would be concerned, especially with the state that the country's in right now. But I can't get into that right now. But it's just like, it wasn't even like that crazy offensive of a joke. And it was like, are you fucking kidding me? I've literally said worse to my child and my patients, and then we just laugh. Like, not anything like offensive, but I'm just like, something that's just like inappropriate at least. But it's just like, shit. But obviously everyone was getting concerned and scared and put a ton about us potentially, like, having our First Amendment right affected and everything else, because it's like, what, you can lose your job if you make fun of the president's favorite fucking podcast? Are you joking? This is so stupid. But everyone put a ton of pressure on ABC and Disney, especially, being like, Disney, you and Ron DeSantis literally had a whole fight in, like, Florida versus Disney as far as, like, don't say gay bill and everything else. And it's like, what? Meanwhile, Disney is, like, bowing at China with the whole, like, Star Wars thing where they didn't make Finn a Jedi because he's black. That could be an entirely other episode, but I'm not doing it today. I didn't do enough research for right now. But Disney wants to be, like, inclusive in everything else, and then, like, they're gonna be fine with Jimmy Kimmel getting fired over this and having his free speech taken away, when Charlie Kirk literally is a fucking racist and was saying super offensive fucking things 24/7. Like, honestly, and kind of rewriting Christianity in order to fit his own narrative so he can gain power and everything else, which really was, like, not an accurate depiction of anything they say in the Bible or what. And I'm, like, not Christian, but Erica, I'm pretty sure, was Catholic, I read somewhere. So, like, she should have been raised in a somewhat similar church to me, and, like, I'm not getting that vibe at all. But I feel like she obviously is, like, some kind of narcissist or something else, but I can't get into that either right now. But you gotta give me a break about this whole losing your job over a stupid fucking joke like that. The right is trying to make Charlie Kirk into a martyr, and the entire situation was not looking good for the fate of our First Amendment. Luckily, Michael Eisner, who was a very beloved former CEO of Disney from 1984 to 2005, so obviously he was there when they made a ton of really fucking good movies, he tweeted or something, he communicated that, like, some shit about calling Disney out and being like, are you joking? Like, you need to do the right thing, you know? Like, give Kimmel his show back. Are you kidding? And, like, it seems like that was the straw that kind of broke the camel's back as far as pressuring Disney, and they did end up giving his show back. And today's Tuesday that I'm filming this, so his show's coming out tonight. So I'm very interested. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to stay up, but, like, I'm very interested to see what he says on the episode. I'm definitely interested what's going to happen, because if I was him, I literally would not give a fuck. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, I'm going to say whatever I want, because it's like, what, are you going to take my show away again? You already, like, took the shit, because it's not even firing Jimmy Kimmel, it's taking the show away, and all the writers are fired, and all the producers, and all the cameramen, and everyone. Like, everyone loses their job. That was the whole thing when Conan got the show after after Jay Leno, and then Jay Leno was like, just kidding, I'm coming back. And then they literally like displaced all of Conan's staff. And it was like, are you kidding? And also Conan is way funnier than Jay Leno. I said it. Sorry. But it is a win that Jimmy Kimmel is coming back on air tonight, and I'm anxiously awaiting what he's gonna do, you know. But on a bit of a sour note, but it is worth mentioning, Joe sent me this article about two major broadcasting companies, Sinclair and Nexstar broadcast groups, who they make up 25% of ABC-affiliated national stations. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I hope you guys get the point. But they're refusing to air Kimmel's show, so that's great. Talk about censorship, but at least we can take the win where we can get it. At least he is getting back on air for most of the country. So we really got to do something about these fucking fascists. I'm so sick of this. But on a related note, these psychos also use the Charlie Kirk Memorial as literally a Nazi rally. Like, Erica Kirk is on stage and she literally is like, I forgive my enemies and like, I don't hate them and everything else. Which is like, in a situation where you're losing your husband, like, obviously that's devastating. Like, if you're losing, like, obviously, like, the main person in your life, besides, like, your kid that you really love and everything else, that's going to be pretty upsetting, obviously, especially in that way. But it kind of makes sense for her to be like, I forgive my enemies, because just, like, it's harder to get to, like, heal if you're holding on to all that. And also, like, what the fuck else are you going to say in a situation like that? I wouldn't want to speak in front of that many people after my husband got murdered like that. I'd be like, ooh, I'm good. Give me a couple more months. Grieve. But that whole memorial was literally turned into a Nazi rally, and the president was like, after she said that, he was like, I hate my enemies, and I do not forgive them. And that's great, because obviously he meant, like, anyone who isn't on his side, so, like, Democrats, and, like, a lot of independents, and, like, everybody, most people. And I'm concerned that we may see a spike in, like, civil violence or, like, just, like, acts of violence about political things on the day-to-day, especially because there are a lot of protests around. And, like, to me, I'm concerned that similar with January 6th, where he kind of encouraged that and excused them, it's going to be a similar situation if these people start attacking, like, anti-Trump protest groups and being like, Antifa, even though it's like, Antifa literally means anti-fascist. We should all be anti-fascist. Who wants to be in a fascist country? It's like literally definition of like living in a fucking shitty country where it's like sucks to be there. Like, duh. But I don't know. I'm just concerned about what's gonna happen in the future. But hopefully we get a rein on things and we get a rein on him. But then these fucking idiots, RFK Jr. and Trump, are trying to say that if you take acetaminophen or Tylenol when pregnant, your kid is going to be autistic. Meanwhile, you really can't take a lot of other pain medications and everything else when you are pregnant, because you can only take certain things that can't cross. Again, I'm not a maternity nurse, but I was in nursing school not that long ago, but you can only take medications that are going to be able to, that won't cross like the baby, like the placenta membrane or whatever. Because not everything does, or that's not going to harm the baby if it does. And, like, you can take Tylenol. And now they're trying to say that, and it's like, Tylenol was literally diagnosed and, like, found before acetaminophen was created. By, like, decades. So, I don't know. But this is completely stupid. It's fake. It's not based on reality at all. And Trump literally couldn't even say acetaminophen at a live event. And it's like, I get it. He doesn't work in medicine. But, like, pretty much everybody knows acetaminophen. But, like, I guess it's like that fucking Arrested Development thing where she's like, it's a banana. What could it cost? $10? Now it, like, probably would cost $10. But that was, like, 2004 or something. But I just, like, Trump is so far from reality. And, like, he didn't even practice. He's the president of the United States. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know people that would have a panic attack when it was, like, a fucking presentation that wasn't even graded, just because they'd be like, oh, I don't want to talk in front of the class. And it's like, he's getting up there and he can't even say acetaminophen. Like, to be fair, when I was in nursing school, there was a lot of medications I couldn't pronounce, but I could pronounce that one. But, like, I'm sure he couldn't say fucking acyclovir either. Like maybe a little bit more of a complicated. But it's a live event. It's, like, it's not that hard to prep yourself. It's a very common term, you know, and, like, I just can't believe he didn't practice. It's ridiculous. These people gave so much shit to Biden about every fucking thing that he did. His entire presidency, before and after. And it's like, he's just like a cute little old man with a stutter, which is probably why it seems like he's slower, because people that have speech impediments, when they're younger, and obviously this gets worse as you get older, because like obviously if you have some sort of cognitive decline, which tends to happen to people, and whatever else, but it's like they may be pausing to like take a moment to gather their thoughts and think of a word to say because they don't want to stutter. Or it could be like, I don't know, he's an older man. Have you guys ever talked to someone in their 80s? It's not a necessarily a super fast-paced conversation. Trust me, a lot of times you're like, ma'am, you need to slow down. But they're usually kind of rude about it. I love that about them. I love it. But these people get Biden so much shit, and it's like, just let that cute little old man eat ice cream. And it's like, Trump is literally walking around with like a Foley bag on his ankle. He's got fucking CHF probably. He's got all these bruises. He's probably on Coumadin. He's probably on all this other shit. And it's like, I never say anything positive about Trump, but I have to say this because I have to give credit where it's due. Otherwise, I'll be a hypocrite. And it's not complete credit. But Joe and I were watching the news last night because it was like the live feed, or yesterday afternoon, it was like the live feed of what was going on with Trump and everything. And like, he was talking about the whole thing with the Tylenol and autism. And it was just like, he obviously was saying some shit that like didn't make any fucking sense. But he was just like, he did talk about the vaccines too. And I did kind of like what he said because I felt like, I mean, he kind of went to the Kelly Osbourne school of how am I going to get a metaphor across to these fucking idiots, where she said, like, President Trump, if you deport all the, like, Mexicans, who's going to clean your toilet, or whatever the fuck she said. And it's like, I get where she was coming from because I feel like she was, like, trying to say something that would get through to someone who is a bigot and is like him, that really does view these people this way, because it's like, they're obviously not listening to us when we're trying to humanize them. So it's like, I guess, why not try another approach when you're on TV? But it's like, obviously people did not take that well. But with Trump, he was like, yeah. So, like, I get what you guys are saying about if you take, like, the MMR and tetanus and, like, flu vaccine and polio all at the same time. He's like, yeah, that is bad. That is bad. And that can cause autism. There's a lot of research about that. But, hear me out, there's actually no research showing that it's bad if you take them separately. There's actually research showing that there's no risk if you take them all separately. And I was saying to Joe, I'm like, I hate that motherfucker, and he sounds like a babbling idiot right now, but if I'm hearing him correctly, I do feel like he's trying to, especially with all these measles outbreaks at school and stuff, and like kids die from that stuff. As I talked about in a previous episode, kids used to die really young. That's why the fucking lifespan age was really, really low, because kids used to really die before they were 5 mostly, which is horrible. That's why people had like 13 kids, or more. But he was just like going on and on. But it's like, I kind of felt like something in his twisted brain was trying to manipulate these dum-dums into actually getting the vaccines. And I have to respect him for that, because yeah, let's get these people to fucking take the vaccines, because their kids are probably going to go and get them when they turn 18. Most of these people do, if they even live that long. And they may be hospitalized throughout their life, and they may get like endocarditis if they get infection when they're young. Like if you get like rubella or whatever the hell, you can get infective endocarditis, and then it can be an issue when you're older too. And so it's like, maybe, I don't know, just something to think about. But I do feel like me and Trump are aligning on one thing right now, which is give the kids the vaccines. We don't give a fuck if you give them on 10 different separate occasions. Just fucking give them to the kids. But like, don't take Tylenol. Yeah, okay. But he did say listen to your doctor, which again, I don't even know why I'm defending him. He still sounded like an idiot, and he was saying things that was contradicting himself. But there were a few things that he said that kind of were true. But it's like, I don't even think he really knows what's going on. But he's using their own logic to manipulate them, so I low-key feel like that's what Trump is doing. And moving on from that, guy that I literally hate, onto my Queen Taylor Swift, I want to take just a quick moment to give an apology where it's due. You know, Dear the Black Dog. Now, it's one of my favorite songs now on the Tortured Poets Department, but I owe you an apology because I really didn't appreciate you when it first came out, and like, I had initial indifference, and as once I gave you the patience and love and room to grow that you deserved, and my love for you was able to flourish. Love, Florida OG Superfan. Which, fun fact about that, though, is the album came out and me and my sister were about to go to Florida, so you know we were blasting that shit the whole time, and it was just lit. I love that song. But in all seriousness, as we approach the release of The Life of a Showgirl, let's take a moment for Tortured Poets Department, what's still on our most recent album release for Miss Swift. So I love the Tortured Poets department, but it definitely is a little bit more intellectually elevated. Uh, so like all the best albums, it just takes a little bit more time to digest, but it's so worth it. It's like the protein and the fat. It tastes better, takes longer to digest. You get more energy from it. You're so full for so long, just like the Tortured Poets department did for us. That's why we haven't gotten an album in a while. But I love Taylor, and there will never be the day I am not anxiously waiting for her new music to drop. I'm really excited to hear what she has in store for us, and I love all her work with Jack Antonoff. Boo! Okay, guys, calm down, calm down. Sorry I'm not jumping on your hate bandwagon. He ate with Sabrina on Man's Best Friend, and I'm excited for him, but I am excited for him and Taylor to work apart just for a little while so they can have some more creativity, they can have a little bit more creative diversity in their profiles or in their portfolio, sorry. And as a Harry slash 1989 superfan, I'm so excited to hear the newest combo between Max Martin and Shellback and Taylor. Style literally changed my life, obviously. Honestly, I should get a mental health counselor on the line for October 3rd because I'm not sure if I can handle what she has in store. So some of my other favorite songs from the Tortured Poets department include I Look in People's Windows, Down Bad, Guilty as Sin, So High School, Fresh Out the Flamer, the Tortured Poets department, and The Alchemy. Oh, and The Prophecy and Peter too, obviously. I really love all so many of them. There's too many to pick. And like with every other Taylor album, I can never pick my favorite song or any album. I'm so indecisive. I love them all. All right, guys. Last but not least, this is my slightly obsessed list for this episode of the podcast. But it includes The Black Dog by Taylor Swift, Blueberry Vodka Lemonade Cocktails with freshly squeezed lemons. It's so good. Obviously, I'm gonna give another shout out to the Ride Podcast. I'm gonna shout out Chris Briney. And I'm gonna shout out Fortnite too for entertaining Joe while I do this. Luckily, this wasn't a super long episode. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of High Functioning Slightly Faded. You guys can message me, send outfit of the days, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Follow me, etc. on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit at HFSF Podcast, and have a great week, my fellow Belly Conrad lovers. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!